What would you do if you were in Joseph's shoes? He's just found out that his fiancée is pregnant, and he knows for certain that that was nothing to do with him. When he asks her for an explanation, she tells him God did it. You might think to himself, what sort of an excuse for an affair is that? He knew the impact that this would have on her and her family, and indeed on him and his family if people thought he was the guilty party. The full weight of the moral disapproval of that society would come down on her. She would be looked upon as an outcast. There would be hurtful comments and rejection. There may even be physical attack. Joseph might have felt very angry, felt very betrayed, very confused at hearing this news that was the last thing that he wanted to hear. But you know, Joseph couldn't find it in himself to exact revenge. He couldn't find it in himself to expose his fiancée Mary to the full weight of his society's moral disapproval. And so he considered what action he would take. And he came to the conclusion that what he would do was just to divorce her on the quiet. That was right. Divorce her quickly and quietly and try and move on with his life. Yeah, that's what he would do. But you know, while he was contemplating that course of action, something happened that changed his mind. God spoke to him in a very real way through an angel in a dream and told him that actually Mary hadn't been unfaithful. That as unbelievable as it was God's doing. It was part of a plan that God had to demonstrate his love to the world. And that actually he should go ahead as planned and marry Mary. What would Joseph do now? Would he go for the quickie divorce option? Or would he obey God and marry Mary? He chose to obey God and marry Mary. He chose to stand between her and her society's disapproving looks and disapproving comments. He chose to stand with her in her social exclusion. He chose to bear her shame. Now, Joseph may not have realized it then, but this unborn child that he had chose to look after and care for would actually one day do the same for Joseph and for Mary and for all of us. One day he would bear our shame and our guilt. We are guilty of rejecting God, showing no love or faithfulness to God whatsoever. And in our cold and stony-hearted rebellion, Jesus came into this world. He went to a cross and he stood, if you like, between us and God and bore our shame and bore our guilt. He took upon himself the deep darkness of God's exclusion against us. Why would he do that? Well, just like Joseph, God is not out for revenge. Actually, he wants a restored relationship with us. And so, can I invite you, perhaps this Christmas, to pick up a Bible, or if you haven't got a Bible, to access one from the internet and read in one of the Gospels about the life of Jesus. This one out of love for us, who came into this world to be a shame bearer for us, in the same way that Joseph chose to be a shame bearer for Mary.